is up, everybody? It is your boy Lou Martinez, aka Big Chief Burrito, with Kenny Jenkins.
What's going on?
No relation to Leroy. On the camera and on the mic. How you doing today, Kenny?
I'm doing all right. Go ahead.
Happy Juneteenth.
Juneteenth, you already know this is one of my better days of the week, so I'm happy about that.
Well, by the time people hear this, it won't be Juneteenth, but we are recording on Juneteenth, which from my Facebook and Instagram feed, surprising to see that a lot of people, no idea what Juneteenth was about. So it's not like a celebration of everybody being free. It's not the Emancipation Proclamation. It's basically word getting to the rest of the South. Basically, it is about the last people to be told, you guys are free now, right? Or when did you learn about it? Obviously, you probably learned about it earlier.
Oh yeah, I learned about it a long time ago, but I mean, the whole thing it's only really been popular the past 2 or 3 years is when I've been hip to the whole Juneteenth. I've known about the history for a while now though. So, and people say it was the last slaves to be freed and all that, but if you know your history, there was a lot more of slave owners doing some stuff they're not supposed to, like ignoring the proclamation and all that, and also the word not getting to them on time because they didn't have Wi-Fi or anything. So, took a long time. They
didn't get the email.
Nah, they didn't get the word, the memo.
No, and then after that, you had obviously laws, literally constitutional laws in place to basically say, okay, we have to free everybody, but now what we'll do is we'll set up all these, and go check out the documentary on Netflix, 13th. You've seen that one, right?
Actually, it's on my list. I almost watched it this week.
Turn in your black card.
Nah, that ain't gonna happen.
But yeah, that kind of goes into a lot of the 13th Amendment and the stuff that basically got put into place after the Emancipation Proclamation, and the laws that were put there in place to kind of say, all right, well, we gave you this, but check it out, we're going to make things
hard,
a hell of a lot harder than it has been previously. So on this Juneteenth, obviously, it's one, I guess, both refreshing and a little sad that you see a lot of, white people and others that realizing that it wasn't really taught in schools. I saw a friend of mine, my brother's girlfriend, actually posted something about, they were trying to pull down a Columbus statue in her city. And she was basically saying, they're going too far. And I was like, fuck Columbus. Fuck that piece of shit, And to a lot of people, they grew up with Columbus as a hero. The same way a lot of people grew up not knowing about Juneteenth, not knowing about Black Wall Street, not knowing that, and I caught some of this from like John Leguizamo's Latin History for Dummies. A big portion of the United States Independence Army, Civil War Army, World War I, World War II, were Mexican Latinos, as well as full regiments of black soldiers in all the major wars that, fought for the U.S., died for the American flag, and then came back home and got treated worse than they did in Europe and other places. So all this turmoil, I think, at least it's serving this purpose of educating you know, people on a lot of things across the board about the history as it was taught by conquerors. History is written into the textbooks by the winning side. And I try to, obviously, I'm not the end all say all on things about that, but I do try, from my limited knowledge, put people up on game as much as I can. So one of the channels that I watch a lot that puts stuff like that in perspective, shout out History Buffs. History Buffs is a channel that does basically reviews of, because a lot of times teachers are lazy. So they're like, well, I want to teach somebody about Columbus. So they put 1492 Conquest of Paradise on the DVD, and they put it in front of their fifth grade class. And then you watch this movie and you're like, oh, Columbus is a hero. Or you don't hear about Juneteenth or Black Wall Street or things like that are taught more specifically in, I would say, classes, family members, things like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, the history books are very, very sugar coated and coated, and this is like you were saying. This is definitely given an opportunity to get the real truth, the real history out there that needs to get out there, because with it being sugar coated, I mean, that causes a whole bunch of issues within itself. Um,
People
that
not knowing what they don't know, basically.
Yeah, being ignorant to the facts, and ignorance is not blissful anymore. If you're being ignorant out there and you don't know your stuff, your history, learn some stuff. Read a book, Google all that stuff. Start to try to make a difference and grow and learn.
Ask questions and listen. Don't put yourself out there as in, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't know this, and this is affecting me so hard, and I'm in so much pain. Don't check yourself there for a second. But it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to reach out to the homies. It's okay to reach out to brown people and black people and be like, hey, could you educate me a little bit on this? Can you point me to some resources? Where do I start? Right.
Right? I mean, like the past couple of days, the videos and the talks that I've been seeing a lot is what comes up is like that person, that racist person that always talking about go back to whatever black or brown person that they're talking to at the time, and they're the comedians I've been hearing and the people, the videos that I've been seeing with the joke that they make is like, go back to where, like we was here first, like you. What do you mean go back? You wasn't even here,
Yeah.
originated here. You didn't originate here. Like you weren't from here. So how you gonna tell me to go back?
Native Americans are the only ones that can really make that statement here
Exactly.
to everybody.
Yeah.
Is and then if you go back far enough, you can probably see that there was probably people here before them, that they kicked out. So everybody's history is a combination of good and bad, I would assume. But like I said, I guess if there's some good coming out of all this turmoil and protest and riots, is that we might have been reaching a tipping point in terms of not being able to hide from these types of issues, and seeing a real attempt by some people to learn and educate themselves. So if you're a person that's trying to educate yourself and trying to better yourself and you don't have to automatically, and I think this is a mistake. People say, well, my life is hard too. I don't feel like I'm privileged. I don't feel that just because of my skin color I get, extra benefits. I've had a shitty ass life, et cetera, a million different things. It's not about saying that you have to, but it's just about being able to just be honest with yourself about how you are treated in certain situations. And, it's the most natural thing in the world for somebody to say, hey, Black Lives Matter, and then for you to think in your heart, well, all lives matter. It's a completely honest emotion for you to have. what you have to do is really just look at the situation in the moment that we're in and understand that it is not about you at that very second. Like, I think a lot of people have been putting it in real perspective. Like, they said, hey, what if Jesus was having a sermon, it's like a famous sermon, but I'm not religious. I don't know about it. But he's like, blessed be the poor. And then somebody was like, actually, Jesus, everybody's blessed. Like it's the whole your house is on fire, my house isn't on fire type of thing. So I think it's just really about just the stuff that happened to you as a kid or that you were raised around or the people that influenced you in your life that put these thoughts in your head if you feel racist thoughts or the things that have happened to you that make you think or dislike a certain group of people. You have to at least be open with yourself and think about where that comes from. Because I've never seen two kids, no matter what the color, not want to play with each other. It's something that is absolutely taught.
It is at the dinner table.
So on this Juneteenth, we just want everybody to, I don't want to say it, can't we all just get along? But, just learn about each other, learn about stuff that you don't know about, revisit topics that you think you know about and look at it from a different perspective. Watch the 13th. Watch a million of different African American authors. Obviously, we hear their music, filmmakers, etc. Just kind of educate yourself a little bit and don't be afraid to question what you thought you know. To thine own self be true, right?
Yeah, and really quick, I want to let everybody know and say one thing that I've been wanting to get off my brain and my chest. If you are in a relationship and that person has racist tendencies, do not feel afraid to get out of that relationship. Do not feel afraid to speak up to your husband, to your wife. And a lot of times it is the wife being scared to speak up to her husband, which is unfortunate, but something's got to change. It happens a lot. Your best friend, your BFF, your dad, your grandpa, but I'm just talking about mainly relationships, couples. Get out of it. Get out the relationship. It's not right. It's not healthy. You know it. You feel it. You've been wanting to say something. You don't want to cause a fight. You don't want to get hit. I don't know. You got kids involved. It doesn't matter anymore. It's time for change.
Google how to break up with my racist ass and then dot 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 and then see what comes up.
Yeah, because I believe that is a big problem we have, and not too many people are talking about it. So I'm talking about it.
So I did that by virtue signaling post a while back when I was talking about, and this is something that I talked about during the diversity awards too, which is meeting a girl whose parents or family might be racist because they're white or Asian or something like that. And as a Latino, they would tell me, well, at least you're not black. Now, I understand that that girl's family was racist, but the girl herself was dating a Colombian. So that's kind of like this. But see, that's a person that's in this world that has racism in their family.
Yeah.
But it's a fact that even like like clan members are definitely turned on by like they're not going to turn down Rihanna. You know what I'm saying? Racism goes up to the point, stops at horniness. So in that scenario, is the girl who tells me, at least you're not black, when I'm about to meet their parents, is she racist or is she sort of making up for the fact that she has a racist family?
I think she has some possible racist tendencies, for lack of a better word. There's a better word that I can't think of right now. But yeah, there's something there that is not right. Like, I've had that my whole entire life with girls I've tried to date or dated, hide me from their brothers, hide me from their grandfathers, their dads. Right. And my response is always, because in every relationship that I've met the parents always love me. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. I don't give a fuck who your brothers are. I ain't no punk. Like, your brothers can come try and kill me or whatever. See what happens. But It's happened to me multiple times, and I've
Unleash
I've,
the
I've heard a
Jenkins.
few
There you
things.
go, full Leroy Jenkins on him.
Yeah. So, um,
For me, it was more like just seeing them in front of me and seeing that they hated me, but then also realizing that they could hate me more.
the family.
The family, yeah. So like I dated a girl and she was Italian and she had and I went to dinner with her and her Italian father and brother. And I think they they sat just in front of me and just stared at me. And the father drank an entire gallon of wine during dinner himself. And they were just like looking at me and just like not giving me an inch, just talking shit the whole time. And but to me, it wasn't like I said, that phrase ahead of time gave me a little buffer. You know what I mean? It's like we could hate you, but it's not. We could. I don't hate you as much. You know.
You
So
ain't one of them darkest.
yeah, and it's a horrible thing to really recognize that even from another minority, I am privileged that way. You know what I mean? Not that the struggles of somebody from that's brown versus black are completely different. They're coming from there's a language perspective. There's a whole different type of reason that they hate you than they hate me. But it's a toss up, right? It's like I hate this guy because he's black, but I hate this guy because he's coming from another country and he's and my perception is he's taking my job or etc. So not to get into like a whole thing about race or whatnot, but it is Juneteenth when when we are recording here, and so like I said, before we get into all the stuff that silly stuff that we want to talk about, have to really just kind of acknowledge it and that it is important to us as a production company for other people to recognize, right? All right, and we are back with more Kenny and Lou on the 2M Burrito show slash podcast. So I wanted to kind of get into some lighter stuff, like some fanboyish kind of things, to kind of see where we were at on some movies that we had both seen. Because I think I was kind of trying to jam this My Week in Media kind of down everybody's throat with kind of stuff that I'm more into. But so trying to do better as always. But you did recently finish Breaking Bad,
I did finally finished it.
and we already talked about the fact that you watched it after Ozark,
I did. Yes, we did.
which might have diminished it. But you can see, I mean, the perception that it's a pantheon type show. It's kind of a Mount Rushmore show. It's considered one of maybe the top 5, at least 10 TV shows of all time.
Yeah, I still love it. It's still a great show. The acting was amazing. Character development was there. Camera angles, the quality, everything was there. Um, but yeah, I think I would have loved it 10 times more if I didn't watch Ozark. Ozark first.
10 times more.
10 times more. Yeah.
Wow. That's high praise for Ozark. Um, but what was your? I mean, and Breaking Bad was kind of famous for like the cold openings where they would have the camera attached to something or give you a kind of a weird point of view on something. It's always Breaking Bad had the best. It's probably one of the best shows of all time, but it had one of the best cold openings of all time.
I did.
Did you watch El Camino afterwards or not yet?
I did. I watched it.
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was cool.
See,
I thought that I'm happy what they did with it. I feel like it could have been like a whole nother season, but I'm happy it ended how it ended.
See, I'm wondering if there's somebody who hasn't watched El Camino, hasn't watched Breaking Bad, and hasn't watched Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul has one more season. It just finished. I think it's 5th season. I think it's or 4th, and it's getting one more season. If you are somebody that has never seen any of those shows or that movie, which all take place in the same universe, but kind of Breaking Bad came out first, Better Call Saul came out afterwards, and that takes place before Breaking Bad even
I
begins.
think I know what you're gonna say.
And then El Camino takes place after Breaking Bad ends. Well, yeah. What if it was somebody who had not seen it? What order would they? What should they see it in chronological order? 'Cause if you see it in chronological order, you watch Better Call Saul. You know, then
Me watching Better Call Saul is right now. Even though I've watched Ozark and I've watched Breaking Bad, it's not like interfering with my enjoyment of Better Call Saul at all because I like Breaking Bad so much. Me seeing these characters again, even though I know how they, what happens to them, it's not really ruining anything for me at this point in time.
well, the good see you hadn't seen Breaking Bad and you got to see El Camino like within a couple of weeks after you had seen finished watching Breaking Bad.
Within 2 days, three.
We had to wait since Breaking Bad finished what like 10 years ago, something like that. So had to wait 10 years to find out what happened to Jesse.
It was so dope. It's like the way they ended it was from the last episode straight to Jesse in the car. I was just like, it's literally a continuation. Like,
Yeah,
I loved it.
picks
It was
up
dope.
right exactly where we last just Jesse, which was kind of the only leftover question that we had from Breaking Bad.
And one of the best things I loved about El Camino is how his boys had him, during that movie, and he was like, it was almost like he was surprised that his boys had him. Those were his main two boys from the jump, and they gave him like I don't know, however many 11 grand or something, some money that they had got from Walter, but or probably from hustling, but
Yeah, they got it at the end when they were flashing the pen lights.
yeah, they got it. They got it from Walter, or got it from hustling, but I think they got it from Walter. That much money. But for them,
When actually
I love seeing that. It was dope.
I was one of my ideas for like Comic Con costume was just wear like a black you can't call it a wife beater, a shirt with a beanie and go as unskinny Pete, like a fat skinny Pete. Hey, I'm skinny Pete, yo. That's one of my favorite lines in TV history. But when Skinny Pete says, "You're my hero, man," I was like, "Damn."
It's a little bit.
A bit. The interesting part is that Better Call Saul takes place before and after Breaking Bad. So if you start watching Breaking Bad, you see the scenes where he is doing exactly what he's managing a Cinnabon in fucking Nebraska, right? Somewhere. Those little black and white scenes take place after Breaking Bad. And then Better Call Saul flashes all the way back to how Jimmy McGill became Better Call Saul Goodman. So Breaking Bad is the jumping off point. This takes place here, and all of Vince Gilligan, this whole universe, which should take this much time. Everybody's still using the same cell phones. Everybody's got the little flip phones. No, cell phone technology does not move forward or backwards in the Breaking Bad Better Call Saul universe. It is stuck firmly in like that 2001 to 2005
Yeah. Saving money on props and stuff,
Yeah, everything. I love that about it. But yeah, so Breaking Bad is a jump off point. Better Call Saul gets made afterwards, and basically halfway through the Better Call Saul, now there's a sequel, El Camino, and then Better Call Saul itself also takes place. So what I'm thinking is for the final season of Better Call Saul might be, because he's already basically become Saul Goodman. All that's left for him is to jump to the timeline where he meets Jesse and Walter. But I think that there'll be at least a couple of episodes during the final season of Better Call Saul, which will be the equivalent of El Camino, but for Saul's character.
That'd be dope.
So I think, like I said, it would be really cool if the way they wrapped up Better Call Saul gives you like a little sort of mini El Camino, but for Saul Goodman, of what his life is afterwards. And they gave you little dribs and drabs. I'm not going to spoil it for you in terms of, because the first couple of seasons you just see like his little mundane, little boring sort of life, and then you flash back to all the cool stuff happening. Although Better Call Saul is the definition of a slow burn. Like they take their time. They don't like force the issue. It's a really, really good show. Like if it keeps going this way, I don't think it could ever, because it is sort of part of that same universe, surpass Breaking Bad, because Breaking Bad is just so fucking good. But it can get close, and that time frame that he created, that universe that they created for those three projects, is one of my favorite ones to revisit. Yeah. Where does it rank when you finish Breaking Bad in terms of like your all time favorite shows? I know you were saying I don't know, I was gonna make a joke about some dumb show that you like.
What, The Walking Dead?
No. I know Cody and Zach's Sweet Life is your favorite show of all time, but let me try a different one. I know the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon is your favorite show of all time, but where does it rank for you in terms of like your favorite?
It's up there. It's definitely up there. Well, no. I watch a lot of shows, but I watch a lot of like superhero shows and stuff like that.
Do you watch The Walking Dead?
I do watch The Walking Dead.
But do you still watch The Walking Dead?
I still watch The Walking Dead.
I stopped several seasons ago.
Oh man, I know you probably have your reasons, but I'm still in it.
Yeah.
To the end. To the end. Doesn't matter. But anyways, what were we talking about before that? What were we saying?
Just Breaking Bad. No, where it ranks.
The rank.
Shows all time, number 1, number 10. Where does it rank?
I really can't really rank it. I know it's up there. I kind of have to put my shows in their own little categories. Like I got to put the action, drug shows in their own category. I got to put my horror, sci-fi in this category, and it's hard for me to choose because I don't know. I like horror and creepy stuff, witches and warlocks and werewolves and vampires and all that stuff, blood and guts, slashers.
I don't know. I think there's. I think that Dexter and which is the one with the motorcycle club. Did you watch that show?
Motorcycle Club.
Sons of Anarchy.
Never watched it.
So Dexter. Did you watch Dexter?
Yes.
So Dexter, in my opinion, should have ended after the season 5. I believe it was the Trinity Killer season with John Lithgow. You remember that, how that season ended?
If you give me some like little reminders real quick, I remember that show.
Dexter, spoiler alert here for the next 90 seconds. But Dexter's whole thing was he was born in blood. The guy who raised him found him after they had chainsaw his mother to death in like a shipping container. He was like a little baby. He found him sitting there literally in a sea of blood. Season 5 of Dexter with the Trinity Killer. Dexter kills the Trinity Killer, thinks he got away with it. Then he goes home and he sees Rita, and she's in the bathtub as the Trinity Killer got her and slit her wrist. And their infant son was literally sitting in a pool of blood. So, and spoiler alert. So that I thought was the perfect ending for that show because it's kind of like a full circle thing. It kind of puts you like, what's Dexter going to do? It leaves it just ambiguous enough to where you sort of, you understand the character by this point and what his motivations are. But it puts him in a good sort of, I thought it was a great way to end it. Mostly because the next few seasons after that just sucked a bag of dicks. He started falling in love with his sister. Because him and the actress I played in Sister also were sort of dated for a while. All of a sudden, he's like letting other serial killers raise his son for him. He's going. There's all this crazy, stupid, just ridiculous shit that happened in that last season, and that was mostly because, and this is one of my consistent rants even from the Apocalypse days, is that Showtime just didn't want to kill that cash cow. And they were basically wanting to make sure that they could, if they wanted to, bring Dexter back. So they didn't let them kill him in the season finale. He couldn't die. And they basically just kept saying, "Oh, one more season, one more season, one more season," and it sort of dragged out and just made the ending of the show suck. That also happened with the Sons of Anarchy, which was a show that started off, but it had this thing that had to happen because it's a I don't know if it's an allegory or a simile of a very famous sort of story, a Shakespearean story, because his mom is with the guy who might have killed his father, and he has to get the point where he kills the guy who kills his father. That has to happen. But they kept dragging it out and dragging it out and dragging it out. And at the end, when they finally did finish the show, it was kind of a weak sauce ending, I thought. So
It seems to happen, especially in like, I mean, not just hit shows, like any shows. I mean, there's tons of animes that I've seen that had horrible endings or didn't have an ending. But
hard
you got these
hit the landing.
season, all the box sets of all Lost. You haven't seen Lost, but I seen Lost, and I loved Lost, but I was lost, and especially at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy. It was, I agree with all the people that say all the bad things about the ending. But yeah, damn it. Yeah.
No, well, I mean, it's a long about way to say that taught me that when I get a whiff that a show is starting to suck, I just bail. So, like, I watched The Flash, and we talked about this before, but after, like, season 3, I was just like, I don't like where this is going, and I bailed. Walking Dead, I was almost out after, like, season 2, but I stuck on for another couple of seasons, and then things started to get really weird, and I was just like, bail. I'm out. I'm out of here, No looking back. Lost, just seeing how people were reacting to it, I was like, I'm out. So though having endured Dexter, Sons of Anarchy specifically, and now the most recent example is Game of Thrones, because Game of Thrones fucked up the ending so much that people are like looking back at this dire wolf tattoos that they got, and are like, I wish I would have known they were gonna fucking crash land the ending. They had it just so many seasons just of great storytelling them, and then they just took a shit the last two. So I guess that's why when you start to feel something is about to take a shit, it probably is. That would be my advice.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say when I brought up Lost. Yeah, it seems to happen to a lot of shows, like how it happens to Lost. How it happened to Game of Thrones, and it just, I don't know. Maybe there needs to be some more training on how to write an ending. Who knows? I'm not sure.
Okay, and the reason we brought this up is because David Ayer kind of, since they said they were going to release the Snyder cut of the Justice League, because that's what people have been like clamoring for, and released the director's cut. I'm all for director's cuts. So then there was a notice that David Ayer, director of Suicide Squad, said that the movie was changed a lot from his cut to the release cut, and that people that pay attention to sort of the trailer will see that his cut might have been a little bit different, but I didn't really see that. Like I said, somebody is always pro director's cut. I kind of am interested to see what is it, but overall the movie, and I tell you the scene that rubbed me the wrong way, and you defended her, was this whole thing about Amanda Waller, right?
Yeah.
Creating this group of people to go for these extra super tough missions. Ends up being the mission was to save her. So it was a problem she created, a group she created, a situation she created. Everything was just everything had to do around her.
Yeah, like when we were talking before, or were you done explaining?
Well, no, the specific scene was they come rescue her. The whole thing is something that she could have done by herself, and then she has like a group of like 3 or 4 tech people there that are like running her computers and stuff. And then she's like, all right, let's get out of here. And then she just goes like, blah, 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 like, yeah, like, I don't know. I just think logistically, because I understand training. I mean, if you're running multiple operations, having that sort of employee turnover is not good. Is not a sustainable business model. I'm just putting that out there from a corporate perspective for Amanda Waller fans. It doesn't make sense fiscally to have to replace your entire key tech team. And these are people that are like, run this report and get this and blah, 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 blah. They were like very integral to what she was doing in that little control center the whole movie. For her to then say, okay, I'm just gonna murder the lot of you. And I think it was a very cheap way to give her character depth. That you or
bullshit. That's not what you said last time. Well, don't add on to it now that I told you some stuff.
What I'm trying to say is I am adding on to it because it makes sense. What I'm saying is that thinking more on it, it seemed like a cheap way to cram all this character history into one action.
That was my main.
She's a badass. She does this and she's just crazy. She does all kinds of crazy fucked up shit. And then, side note, she was hooking up with Lex Luthor in another sort of Batman, Superman thing. When Lex Luthor, in the universe where Lex Luthor's president.
I need to watch that again. That movie sucked horribly. I only watched it once, and I never really want to watch it again. But
which one?
Superman versus.
Superman? Oh, okay. No, this was a cartoon. Cartoon Amanda Waller was making out with Lex Luthor while he was president, and But no, yes, you're right. I'm changing it because I think that. It didn't make sense, but it seems like they're like, okay, the comic book people or people that have watched a lot of her will realize that she's crazy, but we need to get Lou, the guy that doesn't read a lot of comic books, and he needs to understand right away.
You're saying what I said last time. You're pretty much saying. So my whole thing about that whole entire movie is that for people who are not like me, who don't know about the Suicide Squad, who don't know the history of the characters, who don't know about the character Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis, I can see how when you were saying last time it rubbed you the wrong way and all that stuff. It was rushed. I feel like they could have had a whole nother two movies with two characters from the Suicide Squad. And in those movies had the other characters of the Suicide Squad in there and Amanda Waller's character in those movies as well to kind of, ease people into her because she is like a evil bitch. Like she doesn't give a fuck. Like just because it was some alien thing, top secret thing happening and these tech guys that happened to be on the video and on the comms and everything, they saw stuff that they weren't supposed to see, and they didn't have clearance for it. And she was like, "Sorry, you guys gotta die," and she did it without flinching. And Lou has a problem with that.
I don't have a problem with it. I just think that in a movie where they have these disposable bad guys. That used to be people that got turned into zombies
by like magic or something.
By a rotating thing from an alien rotating thing, which is the go-to. That it seemed out of place in the movie because they were going for this very comic booky, cartoonish sort of look and feel, and then they just added this like. It was something that I would expect to see. It was like a scene out of The Dark Knight. You know what I mean? That's where that felt in place. It felt like the opening of Dark Knight, where first you see the Joker on the corner and he's putting the mask. He gets picked up in the trunk. They go around the thing, and then the guy's like, "Is the alarm done?" And he's like, "Yeah, the alarm's done." And he's like, "Cool, boom." That's what it felt like. That's the kind of, but that is in the Dark Knight. It's done as like, this is, you know what I mean? Here it was just like. Aha! Gotcha. It's like.
And back to your point. Well, a couple things. Back to one of the things. Back to your point about the director's cut. They had so much of Joker's footage that didn't get to make it into the movie, And that's one thing that sucked about it. And then
He
another
should have
thing,
used some of that in the Harley Quinn movie to
yeah,
make it suck less.
Birds of Prey. But yeah, what you call it? Another thing is, I believe it's Deadshot, right? Played by Will Smith and Harley
Yeah.
Quinn. They really made that movie. That chemistry between them, I really don't see myself. I like the movie. It took the first time I watched it, I was like, I don't think I really liked it the first time. I really actually, when I watched it the second time, I was like, okay, I like it. And I probably have seen it like 6 or 7 times now. Um,
6 or 7 times.
yeah, like it's, parents are watching it or blah, 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 and I just
You know
have
what's
seen it.
the one common theme from both Birds of Prey and Suicide Squad that I notice? That's another annoying thing from these movies is the. And this is all coming from. All right. So, a trend and a kind of plot device that, or I don't know if it's a contrivance, a plot device, whatever it is. There's something that kind of ties all these comic book movies, specifically those two together, and it's the person with the power so powerful that they can make the whole movie not needed if they just release their power early. An example from other movies is Captain Marvel, who's got power so fucking powerful that if she was there the whole time, she could probably end everything. Another example from these two movies is the Canary from Birds of Prey, who just fought people with her fist the whole time, and then when she needed to, she was like, "Oh, I have this other power that can knock 50 people unconscious by just hitting a high note, but I'm gonna wait." Well, is it when they have gun? Are you gonna use it when they have guns pointed to your head? No, I'm gonna wait. Are you gonna use it in this situation? No, not yet, not yet. And then in Suicide Squad, it's the I'm a Gnostic warrior guy, who's got the fucking power to become a fucking literal fire god
Yeah.
and like fucking lay waste to fucking. He's a human. He's
And I was, oh, so go ahead.
no, and they just
I was like, how many times have they done in cartoons and movies like the soul of the super powerful being is locked away in something and then it needs to be released? Like, I don't know. I don't know. That
yeah,
was
that's always that, and it's
my
always the
sis, my
fucking,
brother, and
it's
all.
always a circular rotating thing from space that they have to stop, and what I mean,
Yeah.
it's so many.
But can I respond to one of your things?
Yeah, go ahead.
You're over the power people. Well, in the movies and Captain Marvel, Wonder Woman, Spider Man, Superman,
God mode people.
they're all super duper freaking strong. And Superman punch a hole through your chest if he wanted to flick your head off if he wanted to with one finger. So he has to pull his punches, and somehow the writers have to write that and make that all work. And one thing that I really, because out of like the DC movies, I mean, Wonder Woman was like the only good one
Right.
so far. And even with that, she had to find her powers. She didn't know how strong she is, and even at the end of the movie, she still doesn't know her full strength yet. The new Spider-Man movies, he's learning how to be. Even though I don't, I think they're making
new
him.
Spider
They're
movies
making him
all-
too weak, man. I feel like they're making him too much of a punk. Like I know he's a kid and everything, but he's Spider-Man. Come on,
The
don't
thing I
make
don't
him
like
a
about
punk.
the new Spider-Man is the over reliance on the suit. I mean, Spider-Man didn't need no fucking insta-kill Iron Man suit ever, really, except when he started fucking with the Avengers and shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's the add-on jokes. I feel like that has a lot to do with Robert Downey Jr., the savior of Marvel, the one that started it all. That aside from Blade and Wesley
With
Snipes.
his little eye, and then, but really, just because I rewatched the Marvel movies in order a while back
Hmm.
to get a refresher, and just because I was bored. But the two parts, the two points in that entire franchise, three maybe, because I am Iron Man, which was the what started it in the first Iron Man movie, and I am Iron Man at the end of Endgame. Fucking oh Tony.
Yeah, I
Those
mean,
two, those two fucking moments, bringing it full circle like that, dope as hell. But the two moments that were the most emotional for me, or at least that I was like got a little of a glimpse, were when Tony makes Spider-Man an Avenger on that ship when they're in space, and he's like, "Well, kid, you're an Avenger now." And then at first, Spider-Man's like, "All right, cool," but then he like sort of takes it seriously, and he just kind of like he just like stands up straight, and he's like, "All right," like he kind of realizes what it means. Damn it. Damn it, dude. And then when Iron Man hugs him when he sees him on the battlefield in Endgame too, where he's like, "Oh, I was turning to dust," and fucking Iron Man just like grabs him, gives him a hug and shit like that. And I think Tony wishes that he was as pure as Peter Parker. He sees, I think, a lot of potential in him, and he because Tony wants the whole thing was Tony wants to build a ring around the world to protect the world, blah blah. And he's like, I can't do it, and eventually he does by sacrificing himself. But I think he sees in Peter Parker the type of person he wishes he was,
yeah.
which is why I think he connects so hard to him. And those moments, those four moments, like are the entirety are like the parts that hit me the hardest of that entire universe.
Yeah, and Tony Stark has some daddy issues for sure. So, I mean, if they have this kind of father son type of thing, then that could be something that Tony is feeling as well.
Sure, I mean, he sees him as sort of a son, protege.
And
So,
I'm trying to remember, like Spider Man,
I
he
mean, I
was he
think
was always
I
raised by
think
his grandparents. So his
Thor's,
parents, I don't even
Thor's
know.
comedic relief.
Dad was a scientist.
Captain America
Dad
is
was a
kind of like
scientist.
pushes the story along. Black Widow, Hawkeye, Hulk are there for like side adventures and things. But I think the Tony Stark's Peter Parker kind of relationship is, I think, the heart of the. I mean, Captain America went back and he fucking got to live his life out with his the woman of his dreams, which kind of makes the whole situation of the timelines all weird because why is he there in that time? Anyway, how long was he sitting on that bench? That's what I want to know. Did he come up that morning? Did he show up like in an Uber like 3 minutes before it was time, or was he just like did he make a whole day out of it? What are your thoughts, America? But yeah, no, that I and I am Iron Man. That shit, I mean, all that shit's just that's dope. That and the other one that comes close is Captain America saying, I saw a clip that actually that was pretty that went viral for a while, which was the first screening of Endgame where people saw Captain America saying "Avengers Assemble," for the last part, and everybody was just like fucking went nuts in the theater. That was pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you saw the time where the time where it was at the end of one of the movies, and he was like Avengers a set. He didn't say it all the way.
Right.
Remember that? And then the next one or whatever, the last one, they said it all the way. So that was kind of cool. I liked it.
Marvel absolutely crushed, that universe, and now it's going to be interesting to see, where they take it to, and new Captain America, no Iron Man. You already kind of see where they're going with like the Spider-Man stuff, the multiverse, shit like that. So
Since we're on the topic, really quick, just want to mention that yes, the success came from Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr., and Iron Man, and Marvel. But the actual the first movie that was really their big attempt that didn't really make any money, they kind of broke even, was Blade with Wesley Snipes. So they didn't have Marvel Studios yet, so they actually made the movie with a different studio, so all the money went to making the movie and paying the crew, the actors, and everything. So they didn't really make any profit till Iron Man. and boom. So, little history.
What? Are you talking budgets?
Yeah. I'm talking success. I'm talking
budget
about
talk,
what really started Marvel and all these movies that we now enjoy, that I have now got my family and my friends way deep into the universe and multiverses and all these other things, and so it's fun.
Watch, this is my new bit for the podcast. Kenny, who am I?
45.
It's coffee. Sorry, my coffee.
Go.
Right, and one other thing that was in the news that I wanted to talk to you guys about, and I think all the protests and all the rioting have worked, and we fixed it, guys. ABC, after 25 seasons, has cast a black lead in The Bachelor. Racism is officially done. Kenny, your thoughts?
Oh wow! Another reality show to also lead to more destroying and programming of people's brains and minds.
Well, you were talking about it right now. You were saying, is it in terms of profiteering, and more in line with there's profiteering as much as there's a need for something, and then people create that need, right? But there's also companies, institutions that are taking advantage of this to basically, I don't know if you want to call it like virtue signaling, but to basically put themselves out there to I don't want to say it's take advantage either. It's either to get ahead of where the momentum in terms of society is going, or it's because they don't want to be like some of these people that are getting canceled or that just say dumb shit, for the like AMC just recently did by saying we're gonna reopen.
Why it's never been a black or
no, what I'm saying, like like they're like, oh, we're gonna reopen with no mask, and then 2 minutes later they're like, oh yeah, you have to have masks. But ABC ABC, The Bachelor, 25 seasons, white guy, show about a white guy and like 20 girls that want to marry him on TV. And after 25 years, this year, 2020, they finally decided, because they've had an open ethnicity policy like we do for the last 25 years, obviously, I would assume, ABC, upstanding institution, decided finally to cast a black bachelor. So is that pandering? Is that finally getting with the times and, like we said, like finally taking a step forward like the NFL did? Or is that opportunism? Or is that, about time? What do you feel about that?
Just like the NFL, they're too late. They're late. So
I mean, it's a good thing that they're doing it.
It's a good thing that they're doing it. Yay, great. But it's like you don't get any brownie points for
after
me.
25 years.
You don't get none.
After 25 years, dude. After 25 years, like
you don't get not one brownie point for me.
Not even like a Filipino or somebody like
no.
Nothing.
You get
they get nothing. I mean, like they could have gotten like they're like one like dark skinned like European maybe. Like nothing. It's just been 25 years of apple pie American like white dude.
Because the auditions couldn't have been all white every single time.
I don't know.
Unless the casting notice was asking for that.
I mean I think I dipped out on The Bachelor after like the second season, and like there's fantasy leagues, like fantasy football leagues, but fantasy leagues for The Bachelor. With which chick is gonna get last the longer or get kicked off, etc. And it's always like 18 white girls, like one black girl. They might throw in one Latina girl, but it's basically like 22 chicks. Like 18 of them are lily white, and then there's like a couple here and there, and then that's it. Yeah. But now to cast, like I said, it's either too little, too late. I don't know. It's just it's It's like there's no way these moves by companies are not going to come off as pandering or sort of trying to take advantage of the moment, especially if you haven't done anything at all for 25 years in order to move or promote. Because what most of these people that are going on The Bachelor are just like actors. They just want to have like influencer careers. You know what I mean? Like you're not doing anything to promote it. You're basically putting a token black or minority person on the show just once a year to say, hey, we're not racist, but it's predominantly a show about white people falling in love with other white people and going on romantic dates into the honeymoons or the fantasy suites, right? They have the fantasy suites where they get to bang.
Yep.
I was a fan of Joe Millionaire's show when that was on back in the day. Because he was getting action from all the chicks that thought he was rich, but he was actually poor.
I think I might have watched that.
But obviously, I'm being facetious when I say racism is over. But I just thought it was kind of funny that came out this week. Like ABC's like, hey, we're not trying to pat ourselves on the back here, but this year, The Bachelor. Saying, just put it out there. He's black. Yeah. Hey, no. We know. We're ABC. We're really good. We've always been on the forefront of minority hiring. That's not to say I won't take a call or office or Zoom meeting with ABC so that I can pitch you guys some of my most brilliant ideas and intellectual properties, featuring a diverse cast of characters. I would absolutely take that call, ABC. But I just thought it was funny that they kind of came out with that this week.
The timing is funny. The timing is funny.
The timing is, what's the word? Not disturbing. It's, what's another synonym for disturbing? It's like the new buzzword. I don't want to make myself. No, it's not controversial. It's not disturbing. Help me out, Kenny.
I'm trying to think of it.
Problematic. That's the new word that they're always like the texts were problematic or something like that. Problematic. That's the word I was looking for. So that's been the Tui and Burrito podcast show for, we started this on Juneteenth. We're finishing it up on June 20th. And honestly, it's an interesting time for our country. And, we're here to kind of occasionally touch on shit that's happening, but not necessarily the main focus. My main focus is just to sort of talk about movies, talk about life, and not take anything way too seriously. Just, have conversations with different people. Obviously, we started off by myself, trying to get back into the podcasting, flexing my podcasting muscles that had been dormant for many, many, many months. And now adding Kenny to the mix to get more insightful shit. But soon, we're going to start the process of interviewing different people in the industry and in different fields of life. So look forward to more of that as we perfect the craft of podcasting. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us all across most platforms through the Tui and Burrito name. Thanks, Kenny.
Thanks, Luke.
Thanks for helping out with all the camera. Thank you. Leroy Kenny. That should be your intro. I should say Kenny Jenkins.
I've heard it all.
No, that's gonna be. We gotta get that. We gotta make that. It's time for the 2 a.m. Burrito podcast with Big Chief Burrito and Kenny Jenkins. And then you run through the house and sit at your chair. No?
Just like that from that one movie with the other Ken.
Which one?
When he was the Western guy.
Erstead? Yeah. Dude. See, that's Kenneth. You're Kenny. Anyway, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and we'll try better next time. Peace.